Hello everyone, myself Piyush Shantan, working as Assistant Professor in Electrical Engineering Department of Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Technical Education and Research Center, NOSAI. And the name of subject is Signal and System, which comes in third year, fifth semester. Today we are going to see the properties of system. So before going on, we need to understand what is system, how we can represent our system. We can represent our signal by two different methods, that is continuous time signal and discrete time signal, right? So as we can see over here, this is our system and we are giving some input signal. This is our input signal, and from the input signal, system is going to perform some process. After that process, we can get some desired output. We are going to get some desired output. We are not getting any output, but we are going to get desired output for proper applications. That's why this is called as our system. So system is defined by we are giving some amount of input and getting the desired one output. That then only it is called as a system. Now there are two types of different signal, that is continuous time signal and discrete time signal, that we already studied, right? Now if, talking about the continuous time signal, we can write x of t. So over here t is in open bracket, so this is our continuous time signal, and the output of continuous time signal is also continuous in time, so our output is y of t, that is also in open bracket. Now if we are talking about the discrete time signal, that is x of n. So over here n is an integer number and it is a closed bracket or big bracket, and the output of that discrete time signal is also in discrete in nature, so output is y of n. So system can perform easily in continuous time signal and discrete time signal also. Now we are going to talk about the properties of system. So here are total 6 different properties of the system, which are first one, that is based on the memory. So based on the memory, we can classify the system is either static and dynamic. Then after, invertibility. In the invertibility, we can define our system as invertible or non-invertible. Then after causality, in causality we can define our signal as causal or non-causal, and followed by the stability. We can define our system stability by system is stable or unstable. Then after linearity, in linearity we have two types, that is linear and non-linear, and last one, that is the time invariance, that is time invariance and time variance system. Now we will study all these properties in detail. Okay, starting with the first, that is memory based, that is static and dynamic system. Now a system which does not require any memory, is called as a static system, and the system which does require any memory for its operation, that is called as a dynamic system. Now let's study this with some simple example, like y of n. So over here y of n is equal to, this is the output signal, is equal to x of n minus twice x square n. Okay, this is our simple equation, mathematical equation of our signal. So y of n, that is depend on the value of x of n and twice x square n. Now we are going to solve it, or we can say we are going to check it either this system is static or dynamic. So let's put the value of n is equal to 0 first. We are putting the n is equal to 0 first. So what's the equation? Y is equal to 0 is equal to x of 0 minus twice x square 0, right? So as we can see over here in graph, this is our 0 value, this is our x of n. Over here 1, 2, 3, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. Okay, so when we are putting the value of n is equal to 0, at a 0 instant of time, the value of y0 is going to depend on only the x0, right? So this term is also going to be defined like we do not require any memory in this equation, because our y0's value is only going to depend on the value of x0. So this system is our static system. Now let's check the example of dynamic system. Okay, so suppose we have the equation of y of n is equal to x of n minus 1, and we are going to put the value of n is equal to again 0. So what's going to be the equation? N is equal to 0, so y of 0 is going to be is equal to x of 0 minus 1, that is our minus 1. So as you can see over here, the value of y of 0 is going to depend on the value of -1, right? So it requires some value, or it requires some memory to store this -1 value for the y of 0. So for the y of 0, our output y of 0, we require the value of x of 0. So this type of system require memory to store some data of the previous value. So this system is called as a dynamic system. Okay, let's take another example. Y of t is equal to integration over -infinity to infinity and x of t. Okay, let's check this. Pause this video and check this, either this system is static or dynamic. Now okay, we can put the value of t is equal to 0 in this equation, right? So when we are going to put t is equal to 0, at that time what's going to be happen? Over here, this waveform is going from -infinity to infinity, right? So we are going to draw this waveform first. So over here this is the 0 and 1, 2, 3. Over here -1, -2 and -3. And the waveform is something like this, okay? So at the instant of 0, that is the t is equal to 0, at that time what's going to be happen? In the integration of the equation, we can consider the value of -infinity to 0, right? From the -infinity to 0. So we require all these value in our equations, right? So we are going to put like -infinity to 0 x of t, right? So at that time what we require? We require the value of 0 to -infinity, or we can say -infinity to 0. We require the memory to store all this data. That's why this system is called as a dynamic system. Okay. Now the next one is invertible and non-invertible. Now based on the property of invertible of the system, we can define our system is invertible or non-invertible. Okay. Suppose we have our signal, that is x of t again. That is our input signal to the system 1. Right now we have our system 1, and the output of that system 1 is y of t. Okay. And we are taking another system, and the input of that system is the output of the system number 1. So system 2 has the input of system 1's output. So y of t is input for the system 2, and the final output there is w of t. Okay. Now in this system, in this complete system, if this signal from the S1t, or we can say the signal of xt, that is equal to the signal of omega t or wt, then and then our system is called as a invertible system. Otherwise our system is not invertible, right? Now study this with simple example. Now let's take y of t is equal to x of square t. Okay, x square t. Now we are going to check either our system is invertible or not invertible. Okay, so suppose we are putting the value of over here x of t. This is our system, and over here y of t. So from the system, if we are putting the value of x is equal to 1, our value of y is going to be 1. Then after, if we are going to put the value of xt, that is equal to 2, at that time y of t is going to be 4. Again, if we are putting the value of 3, then again value is going to be 9. And again, if we are going to put the value 0, then we can get the value of 0. If we are putting the value of -1, we are going to get 1. And if we are putting the value of -2, we are getting 4, right? So from this input signal, we can get these different output signals, right? After this, we are having our system 2. This is system 1 and system 2. And output of the system 2, that is our wt. So from this figure, or we can say from this concept, our wt is going to be is equal to x of t. Right? So at that time, if we are supplying x of t, that is the input signal 1, our wt is also need to be 1. So from this y of t we can get 1. From this y of t we can define our omega t, or we can say wt, that we require 2, right? Because our x of t is 2. So over here we require our answer is equal to 2. Over here from the 9, answer required is 3. Over here 0. So answer required 0, and for the -1, okay, over here our answer is 1, and over here our input is -1. So we required our output as a -1, and in the last one, that is 4, that is our input, and we required output as a -2. Our output that required -2. But one thing we need to notice over here, we have two different ones, and for which one we require -1 and which one we require 1, that we cannot define to any system. So over here we have one complexity, that is both the 1 or both the value of 4 or both the value of 9 also. We require different value, that is -2 and 2 for the value of 4. So over here this 4 and this 4 are same, the input are same, but we require different output. So based on that we cannot define that the input is 2 or -2, right? So this is how, or this is why the system is non-invertible, because we cannot get the exact output as the input. Now let's take the second example, that is like y of n is equal to twice x of n. Okay, so over here this is y of t is equal to x square t, that is our continuous time signal, and over here we are putting n in the close bracket, that's why it is discrete time signal, right? So now let's check this x of n over here to the system 1, and output is y of n, right? And the y of n, our system 2, the output is w of n, right? So putting the same values, right now we are having the value of 1, that is 1, sorry, over here 2. Then after, if we are putting the value 2, then value is going to be 4. If we are putting the value 3, then the output is going to be 6. Again, if we are putting the value 0, then the output is 0. Again, we are putting the value of -1. At that time, we are getting the value -2. And for the -2, we are getting -4, right? So from this, for the system to be invertible, we require output, that is Wn, is equal to the first input, that is Xn, right? So from this, can we get the one output? From this, can we get one output? If we divide the Yn by 2, then we can get one output, okay? Again, for the second value, that is 4, we require value 2. So can we get this by dividing 2? Okay, we can get this over here 2. Again, for the 6, we can divide it by 2, then we can get the value 3. For the 0, same. And now, for the -2, can we get the value of -1? Okay, if we divide by the 2, we can get the same value, that is -1, right? And for the -4, we can also get the -2. So our system has to that required something like y of n divided by 2. That is our system S2. So we can get the same output as our first input. So this system is called as a invertible system, and this system is called as a non-invertible system. Okay, so I hope you can get the concept, or you can clear the concept from the invertible system and non-invertible system. Now the next one, that is the causal and non-causal system. So whenever the causal system doesn't depend on the future value of the input, okay, if it depend, or our system depend on the future value of the input, at that time our system is called as a non-causal. So whenever our system, or we can say our signal, is from the future, at that time our system is called as a non-causal, and whenever it is required the past value or the present value, at that time the system is called as a causal. So most of the time in nature our system is causal if the signal is not being recorded, okay? So the realistic signal are always causal in nature, right? Okay, let's take a simple example. Y of t is equal to x of minus t. Suppose we are putting x of minus t, okay? So let's check it for the value of 1, okay? So if we are putting again t is equal to -1, let's check it by putting the value t is equal to -1. At that time what's going to be happen? Our value of y of t, that is y of 1, is going to depend on x of -1, that is +1. Okay, over here y of -1 is going to depend on x of +1. So from this graph it is 0, 1, 2, 3, and over here -1, -2. Okay, so at the time of t is equal to -1, so t is equal to -1, at the time of t is equal to -1, the value of y -1 is going to depend on the value of x1. So it is going to depend on the value that is future in nature. Right now we are finding the value of y -1, but it depends on the value of x, that is in future. That's why this system is called as a non-causal system, because it is depending on the future value. Again in the same example, right now this is non-causal, right? Again in same example, if we can put the value t is equal to +1, then what's going to be happen? let's check it. Y is equal to 1 is equal to y1, that is equal to x of minus t. So x of minus 1. X of minus 1. So again, at a time of y1, so at a time of y1, this value, at this time, x, the value of x, that is depend on the minus 1. So at the present value, it is going to depend on the past value, that is the minus 1. So this is why this system is called as a causal value. But how is it possible that our system that have the non-causal and causal at the same time? It is not possible, because at any instant of time our system is non-causal, then our system is always going to be non-causal. So any given signal, if we are trying to give 10 different signals and 9 times our system is causal, 9 times it is going to satisfy the principle of the causal, that is, it is not depend on the future value, but the one time it is going to depend on the future value, that is this time, then our system is called as a non-causal system. And in realistic system, most of our signals are causal in nature. But if it is not recorded earlier, so just the example of tape recorder, if we are using tape recorder and we know we are going to play that tape recorder in future, then we can bring our past value into the future value, because we know what is the future value. If we are going to play the tape recorder, then we know what is the future value, right? So taking another example, that is, if y of t is equal to integration over, let's take minus infinity to twice t, okay, minus infinity to twice t, x of t. Again, putting the value of yt, right now we are putting value of t is equal to minus 2. Let's check it with the value of minus 2, okay. So y of minus 2 is equal to integration over minus infinity to 2 minus 2, okay, x of minus 2, right. So again we can write like integration over minus infinity to minus 4 x of minus 2, okay. So if we are going to draw this over here, we can get something like this over here: 0, 1, 2, 3, minus 1, minus 2 and minus 3, okay, minus 4 over here. And we have something like graph like this, our symbol is like this. Then the value of y minus 2, so at a time of minus 2, our value is going to depend on the value integration, that is over minus infinity to minus 4. So over here we have our 4. So all the values from minus infinity to 4, that is of the x, it is going to depend on the past value. It is going to depend on the past value, because y of minus 2, that is this value is our present value, and it is going to depend on this is the past value. And from here this is the future value, right. So it is going to depend on the past value. That's why this system is called as a causal system. But again, if we are going to put the value of xt, that is equal to 2, then what's going to be happen? Again the same principle, y of 2 is equal to integration over minus infinity to 4 x of 2, right. So it is going to y of t. So y of t, that is 2. So over the time 2, our value is going to depend from minus infinity to 4. So over here our 4. So our value is going to depend on minus infinity to 4. So at a time of t, that is 2, this is our past value, and from here our future value. But the value of yt 2, that is depend on the value of 4, that is in future in nature. That's why this system is called as a non-causal system, right? And this time the system is called as a causal system. So both are different. So right now, once in the time, if our system is non-causal, then again our system is remaining non-causal, right? So this is how two different examples indicate that our system can be causal and non-causal at the same time. But whenever we are recording or on anything, our system is going to be non-causal. Now the next property, that is stable and unstable system. So before going on stable and unstable, we need to study about the bonded signal. So what is called as a bonded signal? We are going to see different type of signal first. So over here, this is your sinusoidal signal. So we can write sin t, and we can get our rectangular signal. This is our rectangular signal. Then after we have a ramp signal, right? This is our ramp signal, and this is our exponential signal, something like this, exponential signal e raised to t ut, right? So all this signal we can define either this signal is bonded or not. Okay, over here as you can see, the amplitude of sinusoidal waveform that is lies between, that is a and minus a, or we can call 1 and minus 1, right? So the amplitude is bounded in the range of 1 to minus 1. That's why this signal is called as a bonded signal. Again, in the rectangular waveform or rectangular signal, our amplitude is bounded in specific region. That's why this signal is also called as a bonded signal. And in the ramp signal, what about the ramp signal? With increase in time, our amplitude is going to be also increased, right? With increase in time, our amplitude is also going to be increased. That's why ramp signal or its slope is 1. The ramp signals is not bounded signal because the amplitude is going to be infinite in infinite time. On the other hand, if we are talking about the sinusoidal waveform, infinite time, our amplitude is not going to be increase or decrease because our amplitude is going to be constant. Either it can be 1 and minus 1. So it is going to be in between 1 and minus 1. But on the other hand, in the ramp signal, our amplitude is going to be increased with time. So if time is infinite, because time is variable and time is we can vary our time. So with infinite amount of time, our ramp signal is going to be infinite. So this is not a bounded signal. And in the ramp signal, in the exponential signal also, it is going to be increased with time. So again, if it is going to be increased with infinite time, this is also not a bounded signal. So our amplitude is, if our amplitude is bounded only, then the signal is called as a bounded signal. And if we get from bounded input, our output is required to be bounded. So Bebo we are going to follow. If the system is going to be follow the Bebo principle, then only our system is going to be called as a stable. Means of Bebo, that is bounded input, bounded output. So if we are going to give a bounded input to our system, then bounded output we can get from our system. Suppose this is x of t, this is our input for the system, and the output, that is the y of t. So for the bounded input, we are going to give a bounded input to our system and we can get a bounded output. At that time only our system is stable. So whenever sine wave we are getting as an output, the system is called as a stable. Whenever rectangular waveform, if we are getting as an output from the system, at that time we can call it as a stable system. But if we can get a ramp wave or we can say exponential wave from the output, if we are giving input that is bounded, if we are giving bounded input to our system and getting the output that is not bounded, at that time our system is going to be called as a unstable system. Okay, if we are giving bounded input but getting unbounded output, at that time our system is called as a unstable system. Okay, let's study this with simple example. Suppose we are taking y of t is equal to x square t, right? Y of t is equal to x of t. So if we are changing with time, then x of t over here we have our system and this is our output, that is y of t. Now we are putting the value of x of t. If we are putting the x of t 1, our output is 1. If we are putting 10, our output is 10 raised to 2, that is 100. If we are putting 100, then we can get 10 raised to 4. If we are putting 10 raised to 4, or we can get, say if we are putting 1000, then we can get the output as 10 raised to 6, right? So again, if we are giving a bounded input, this is the input that is bounded. So we are going to follow the bounded input, bounded output principle. So if we are giving bounded input to our system and what we are getting? Bounded output. I know this data is very big, but it is bounded. This is not infinite. So this is bounded. So our system is called as a stable system. Now taking one another example, that is y of t is equal to e raised to xt. Okay, y of t is equal to e raised to xt. Again over here our input, that is xt, and system our output that is y2. So at a time we are giving the input as a 1, we can get our yt that is e raised to 1 again. If we are putting 2, then we are getting e raised to 2. If we are putting 10, then e raised to 10. Right? If we are putting 100, the output is e raised to 100. Now if we are putting e raised to 100, the value is very big, but it is also bounded. So we are giving bounded input and getting bounded output. That's why this system is also called as a stable system, because it is follow the LIGO principle, that is bounded input, bounded output. Now let's study with another example, that is y of t is equal to e raised to t xt. Okay, e raised to t xt. Now if we are talking about xt, that is our input, and yt, that is our output. So from the system xt, yt is out. Okay, at any given moment of time, if we are increasing our time t, at that time what's going to be happen? E raised to t is also going to be increased. So if x of t that is equal to 1, our output that is equal to e raised to t x of 1, right? But e raised to t, that is the exponential waveform. We have exponential waveform for unit step input. This is our xt input, unit step input. This is over here minus infinite to plus infinite. Okay, minus infinite to plus infinite. So this is infinite domain signal. Okay, it is bounded signal but infinite domain signal. But we can get the output that is in exponential in nature. That is in exponential in nature. Now you may get confused because over here e raised to t, that is exponential in nature, but over here why it is not exponential in nature? Because we can see that in sine wave also we are getting our sine wave from minus infinite to infinite. So from the t, varying the time t, because t is a variable, so varying the time t we can get any kind of input. But we are giving bounded input, that is if we are giving today bounded input, tomorrow bounded input, at that time we can get the bounded output. But right now e raised to t, that is not bounded, because with increase in time the slope is going to be increased. That is why this signal or this system is called as a unstable system, because this signal is not bounded signal. So signal need to be bounded in input and output side, because bounded input need to be bounded output. At that time only our system is stable, either our system is unstable. Okay. Okay, now we are going to see the linear and non-linear system. When our system is going to call as a linear and when our system is going to call as a non-linear. So for that we need to follow the superposition theorem. We need to follow the superposition theorem. So if our system is following the superposition theorem, at that time we can call our system as a linear system. And if it does not follow the superposition theorem, at that time we can call it as a non-linear system. Again, in the superposition theorem, we are going to see the two different conditions. The first one, that is the scaling, and second one, that is the addition. So let's check first the scaling property of the system. Suppose we have our signal, that is the input signal x of t, that is we are giving to a system and we are getting the output, that is y of t. Okay, for the scaling, if we are multiplying a scalar with the input side, that is x of t, so a into x of t, our system is going to represent as a into y of t. If this condition is satisfied, that time we can call our system as a scaling system, right? And for the addition, suppose we are taking two different inputs, right? Suppose x1 of t, and we are giving it to the system 1. So x1 of t, our output is y1 of t. And again for the x2 of t, we are getting y2 of t. So what's the addition is going to be suggest? If we are adding our input signal x1 of t with signal x2 of t, at that time we are going to get the signal of y1 t plus y2 t. So if we are giving x1 t plus x2 t, at that time from the system our output is going to be like y1 of t, y2 plus y2 of t. Okay, this if this condition is also satisfied, at that time we can also call as a system is additive. Okay, but in the superposition both the conditions need to be satisfied, that is the scaling property and the addition property. Okay, so we can write something like a into x1t plus a into x2t, that is given to the system. At that time we can get a into y1t plus a into y2t. So if this condition is satisfied, at that time we can call as a superposition theorem is satisfied under the system, and our system is called as a linear system. And if this condition is not satisfied, at that time we can call as a our system is non-linear system. Okay, so this is the scalar quantity, that is the A, and this is the additive quantity. So we are adding two different signals, and output side we can also get two different signals. Now let's study this with a simple example. Suppose our input signal is xt and our output is y of t is equal to twice into x of t plus 3. Okay, this is our signal. Now we need to check either our system is linear or not from this. Okay, for that if we are giving our input signal, that is xt, okay, that is inside of the system, and our output, that is y of t, which is equal to twice x of t plus 3. Now if we need to check the scalar quantity of this system, right? So for the checking the scalar quantity, we are going to put a. Okay, suppose if we are adding a into xt, we can get output side a into the y term. So a into x of t, at that time from the system a into y of t, right? A into x of t is equal to a into y of t. So is equal to a into twice xt plus 3. So if we can simplify this, twice a xt plus 3a, right? So but what is the meaning of this signal? Okay, over here the meaning of this signal is output yt is depend on the value of xt. So it is going to multiply by 2 plus additive 3, that is the constant value. So we can give DC supply as a constant value to this signal. Okay, so this is how the signal is looking like. Our signal is going to be, we have the output yt is going to depend on twice the x, that is twice the input plus 3. So 3 is the constant over here. But right now as you can see over here, twice a into xt plus 3a. So it is going to add a, or we can say add 3 plus a, or 3 into a into our signal. So this condition is not satisfied, or we can say the scalar condition is not satisfied in this equation. So this equation is not a linear. So this equation is non-linear system, right? Now we are going to study time invariant and time variant system. Now for studying the time variant and time invariant, lots of the students facing like if the system is going to depend on time, then the system is going to be time variant, and if system is not going to depend on time, system is calling as a time invariant. But this is not the truth. Actually what's going to be happen, we need to see the characteristics. System's characteristics should not change with time. System's characteristics which should not change with time, then and only it is going to call as a time invariant system. And if the system characteristics is going to change with time, then that is called as a time variant system. So let's study this. Like if you have the input signal, that is x of t, that is given to a system, and we are getting our output, that is y of t. So if we are going to give today that input signal xt to our system, we get the output y of t. And again if we are going to give the xt signal tomorrow, we require the same output tomorrow also, right? So at that time we can write like x of t minus t0, that is going to given to the signal tomorrow. We can get the output y t minus t0. If the condition that is satisfied, or we can say whatever the input signal we are giving today, we can get the same amount of output. After one day we are giving the same signal, we can get the same output. At that time we can call the system as a time invariant system. if we are getting some different value than the today's value, if we are giving the same amount of input tomorrow and we are getting some different value than the today's output value, then the system is called as a time varying system, because it is going to vary with time, right? So if we are going to give an input signal today, tomorrow, or after 1 week, or after 1 year, we require the same amount of output from our system, right? So let's study this with simple example. If we have the input signal, that is y of t is equal to t into xt, okay, t into xt. Suppose this is our signal that is given to the system, and at that time what's going to be happen in this? Suppose we are giving our input signal today, so at that time we can write x of t, that is the input signal that is given to the system, and output is y of t, that is equal to t into x of t, right? So again, if we are giving the signal tomorrow, then we can write like x of t minus t0. At that time what's going to be happen to our signal? Our output need to be y t minus t0, so y t minus t0, right? Again, that is also going to be over here like t minus t0 x of t, right? So the output is multiplied with time, so output is going to change. Output should not change, or we can say if this is condition is satisfied, then x of t over here t minus t0, x of t minus t0. So if this equation is equal to this equation, then only our system is called as a time invariant. But right now we are getting t0 minus t0. Sorry, t minus t0 x t minus t0. So we are getting this term extra right now in our system because of this time. That's why this system is not is equal to x of t minus t0. Therefore, this system is time varying system because the value of it is going to change with time, right? Now we are going to see the another example, that is y of t is equal to x of minus t. Now you can check by your own self this equation is time invariant system or time variant system, okay? And this is the end of this topic. Right now we studied 6 different definitions or 6 different properties of our system in detail. So if you have any kind of query, then please feel free to ask in comment section.